All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Consistency Corner podcast. I'm really excited for our chat today with my guest, Gwen Tinsley, who is a sales coach and founder of Grit and Tenacity. And she's got a really fun story to share with us. And we're going to talk a lot about sales and marketing and kind of how they work together, how they support each other, how they're not the same thing, but both incredibly necessary in scaling and growing your business. And Gwen and I met inside a coaching container that she was in, and we're very, very aligned on our thoughts in terms of social media alone is not a strategy, and that we've got to have all the pieces and parts working together to make this thing actually move. And through her experience in both corporate and as a sales coach and coaching and supporting other women growing their businesses, she's seen a lot. And I just so appreciate her transparency and her authenticity and vulnerability, because sales is one of those words that sometimes we can be like, ugh, I don't want to talk about sales, or sales feels slimy. And as somebody who actually has a sales and marketing degree or sales and sales management degree, I don't think sales has to be slimy. And so I love that Gwen teaches you in a way to sell that feels good, that feels authentic, and that helps you serve your clients and grow your business at the same time. So Gwen, welcome to the show. Can you share with us a little bit about your journey in entrepreneurship and how you got to what you're doing today?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you so much, Ruthie, for having me. You and I are instantly connected and aligned from the minute that you started speaking, because you're just so authentic and you're just so transparent. And I just think that's a secret sauce ingredient for being successful, but especially in business and sales, right? Like the term sales gets that slimy, sneaky, used carsman vibe because people are inauthentic and they feel like they have to hide themselves. And I'm passionate about changing the mindset around that. So thank you so much for having me. I am a mom to an almost 11-year-old son. I'm a wife to my amazing husband of almost 12 years in August. Yes, our son was a honeymoon baby. And I have just really felt that for a really long time that I was meant for a bigger platform, and I just didn't know what that meant. So I spent pretty much close to 20 years doing what I was told to do, right? Go to school, get a job, and if you're lucky, you may have a breakthrough. And then I somehow stumbled into a Mary Kay career when my son was an infant, and I quickly realized, like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. But interestingly, not one time did it dawn on me that I was actually selling, believe it or not. So I was just thriving, earning free cars. I was coaching women how to build their own successful businesses. And as time went on, my son was getting older, and being gone nights and weekends just really wasn't ideal for our family. And quite honestly, God really has a way of refining us. And so I went back first to work for someone else. But this time I did things my way, and I had such great success in helping a small marketing company grow pretty significantly over the course of 6 years as the VP of sales and marketing. And so fast forward today, I help female entrepreneurs sell more confidently through their authenticity by building repeatable sales processes that feel good. I just found that in most cases, female entrepreneurs really don't know how to sell, let alone have these sales systems that are going to build confidence in even their own businesses. And so that's where we are today.
Yeah. What you said about selling in a way that feels good, and that when you were doing Mary Kay, you didn't even feel like you were selling. And I think for some of us, when we're sharing something that we're really passionate about, it doesn't feel like selling. And I was the same way when I worked in retail. I worked for Victoria's Secret. I freaking loved everything that I sold. Like, I love the product, I love the brand. And so I could sell it with passion because I was passionate about what I was doing, and refine some of those skills. And I remember there are often times in my relationship with my husband that I'll be, quote unquote, trying to convince him of something. And he's like, stop selling me. Stop selling me on your idea. And I'm like, I'm not selling you, because I don't feel like I'm doing that, because I genuinely believe that the idea that I have, or the thing that I want to achieve or accomplish, is going to be mutually beneficial. And
Yes.
I think so many women who are entrepreneurs sit in that same seat, that they know what they have to offer can truly help somebody. And so they don't think about it as selling.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's one of the biggest barriers of this imposter syndrome that a lot of these female entrepreneurs have is like, oh my gosh, now I put a label on something that I do that I was once so just passionate about and I once just shared naturally with my friends and family and they gave me feedback that I was really good at it. And now that like I've labeled it and I put a business around it, all of a sudden like I'm not credentialed enough, right? I'm not skilled enough. I don't have enough clients to show that I'm capable of producing outcomes. And it's a spiral effect. And so when we lose that just like natural passion because we label it, right? That's when it becomes selling.
Yeah. So your goal is to help women sell effectively. And you said something about a sales system. So talk
Mm.
to me a little bit about how a system can be a tool that we use to sell confidently.
Yes. Okay. So in all businesses, there are systems within aspects of your business, right? And so each part of the sales process has a system that needs to be built around it. And it's really interesting to me that we go back to most female entrepreneurs really don't know how to sell, and it starts from the very set of like what happens when someone raises their hand and says they want to have a conversation. Like, do you have a system that you put them through? Right. Okay. So great. What happens in that conversation? Are you in control of that conversation or is the prospect in control of the conversation? That is a system. Right. And there's lots of different things that we work through my framework that would help create these systems to give them the confidence that they need, right, to be able to sell, after they raise their hand and say, yep, and you've had the conversation and you both have identified that you're good fits for one another. What is the next step? What is that system that you put them through? What does their actual like you're servicing to them to build the outcome, what does that look like? How are you communicating? How often are you asking for feedback from them in a timely manner so that you can then promote yourself at a higher marketing level? We talk about the sales and marketing, right? Those are all systems that are built into this sales process. People don't even stop to think about it, but quite honestly, the other end of after someone has actually you've serviced them, you've produced the outcome. Well, what does that customer journey look like? What does the end of that cycle look like? That's a system, right? And it's all part of selling.
Yeah. And, whether we call it a framework or a recipe, it's the thing that like makes it all work. Because we can take a bunch of ingredients to make like a cheesecake and set them
My
on the counter,
favorite.
right? Then we set them on the counter and it doesn't actually make cheesecake. Like we have to put them together through the recipe. And I think that's
Mhm.
kind of what you're talking about with a system or a framework. It's like, what are the steps? What are the amounts? And when we have that in the beginning, we have the steps to follow. And eventually over time, that becomes second nature and you don't necessarily have to get the recipe out anymore. You just do it because it becomes a habit. When you work with clients, what do you find? How long do you find it takes for people for this to start to feel more natural where they don't necessarily need to follow a written recipe anymore?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, what I find is that when most people reach out to me, it's because they aren't moving clients through quickly enough, right? They're having conversations, but they're not going anywhere. They're getting ghosted. They might not even know where their next client is coming from. And because they just don't have the data, because they didn't have the systems in place to be able to look to see like what works well for me and what doesn't work well for me. So it's interesting because sales is not a quick fix. There are certain things that you can do to see a quick boost, but that's just putting a band-aid over the problem. And so I'm really passionate and intentional about helping female entrepreneurs build foundations that they can then build upon, right? And so I have had people that have said, hey, listen, I have consult calls next week. I really want to make sure that I have that dialed in. Fine, we'll jump in and we'll work on that. And then we take 5 steps backwards and we go back to the basics and we start looking at, well, hey, what are you actually selling, right? And there's a lot of digging in the beginning to get you to a place, to your point, where it's just second nature, and you're talking about your business differently. You're showing up differently. You are confident, and people see and hear that in all aspects of what you do. You are walking your prospects through this new system confidently, and you're controlling the conversation. You're not letting them control you. You are being selective in who you work with, not letting them select you. And that is a different feeling in how you show up for your business every day. And so, to answer your original question, how long? Minimum 90 days is what the program is. And even then, almost all of my clients at this point have said, you know what, I need another 90 days, because it is all about then refining and tuning, dialing things in. Sales is something that is constantly needing to be tweaked, refined, looked at. It's not a set it and forget it type thing. There are certain aspects of that for sure in the sales systems. But having someone to bounce things off of and look at things from a very objective point of view is really impactful.
Yeah, well, I asked that question because, we hear that people talk about experts and becoming a master at something, that it takes 10,000 hours, and it's about like putting in the reps. And in the current space that we're in, everybody wants a microwave, quick fix, easy button. And like that just doesn't exist when it comes to sales, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to operations, so many parts of your business. It just takes time. And so I appreciate that you say like at least 90 days, and that often your clients are like, I want to work with you for another 90 days. I want to continue to refine. I just interviewed a business coach for the podcast yesterday, and she was saying her program is 2 years. And she was like, people tell me don't say that publicly, but that's how long it takes to get success, because we're learning new skills. We're practicing things. And just like if you were going to go try to be like a figure skater, you're not going to learn it overnight.
Exactly. I just think we live in this microwave society, right? And it is. And it's, whenever I see these things like 10 times 10x your sales and 48 hours, I'm like, like that'll be a quick bump. But also, like, do you have the systems in place to funnel those people through? And I think, the thing that I hear often is like, well, do I need to work on my marketing, or do I need to work on my sales? And the answer is both. They go in tandem, right? But also, if you're spending all this money to redo your website or rework your funnels on the high end of the marketing spectrum, you better make sure that your sales funnels are locked and loaded, so that you didn't just waste all that money for people to fall through because you don't have sales systems in place.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that about sales and marketing working in tandem, because I think it's like a chicken egg type question. Like you have to have both. And in the beginning, when you are a solopreneur, you're working on both simultaneously. Like you just have to. And there might be swings where we're going to spend a little bit more time on marketing, but now we're going to go spend a little bit more time on sales so that we can focus. But, I've seen for businesses as they start to outsource, even the question becomes, do I hire a sales team, or do I invest in marketing? And it depends. It depends on what you've done in the beginning in terms of your foundations, because they really do have to work together and in concert, right?
Yeah, I've been a part of so many. So you said earlier, like I've seen a lot, right? Like I've been in the business industry for quite some time. And it's so heartbreaking to me to see sales reps be hired at companies with so much passion and excitement for what the company does to ultimately fail because they weren't set up for success. And I think there is this like misperceived conception of like, because you're good at selling, you can stir something up out of nowhere and get people to buy your product. And it comes down to, though, like you have to have systems that are well known and that are repeatable. If you have a company and a team of sales professionals and they're all you have 5 sales professionals and they're all selling in their different ways. First, that's hard to track and measure, number one, right? And two, it'd be interesting to look at the data of like the ones that are selling really at high numbers. How long are your clients staying on, right? Because willing to bet that these salespeople are telling them more than what they're going to get, right? So their expectations likely aren't going to be met on the other end because the production team won't be able to meet those expectations, right? And because they just want the sell. And again, that's another thing that I'm really passionate about, and why I'm so passionate about helping female entrepreneurs have the opportunity to do business sales different, is I think corporate loses the vision. When you become a corporate, you lose why you started the business in the first place, and that was to help people.
Yeah. And we talk a lot about conversion rates in the marketing world. And there's a lot of conversation about like, okay, but conversion isn't marketing's job. It's sales's job. And that like makes my skin crawl, because sales revenue is everyone's job. And as a marketer, if we are driving traffic to your site, people are opting in for your thing and they're not converting, we have to look at it holistically. We have to look at the big picture. And sometimes there was something off in the messaging in the beginning, so we're bringing in the wrong clients. And sometimes it's that the sales conversations and the marketing messaging are not aligned. And sometimes the offer needs work. And so it could be so many things, but the like finger pointing, and I see this so often in marketing agencies. When I sat in a marketing director's chair in the corporate world, I had marketing agencies that we would hire for support that were like, oh, well, sales is not our job. Okay, but that's everybody's job.
Oh, absolutely. And so, oh my God, I'm so passionate about this. So, Ruthie, in fact, one of my very first episodes that I recorded for my podcast, I asked my former marketing director to come on and just share a difference between sales and marketing, because that was something that I just kept getting asked over and over again. And I just felt like maybe he could explain it better than I can. But one thing that he called out that was so powerful is we called ourselves the smarketing team. We were a team.
Yes.
There was no sales versus marketing. We were a team. And that is one of the reasons that that company was as successful as it was, is because there was no blaming. It was a feedback loop that we constantly had. And so we tracked, okay, consult calls. How many consult calls came in? Great. How many are converting this month into sales? All right. Well, what are you hearing on these consult calls that are the pain points? Are we talking about that in the marketing, or are we talking about something that is irrelevant to them? Seasonality and things change, right? Relevancy. You need to be relevant. You need to be timely in your marketing and sales messaging. But I'll never forget, I was in a conference of some sort, and someone said, raise your hand if you're on the sales and marketing team. And at the time, I was the only salesperson. Actually, I know exactly where it was. We were at a company retreat anyway. And they said, every single one of your hands need to go up, because guess what? Everybody in this company is a representation of this company. And you are thus on the sales and marketing team.
Yes. Yes, that's so true. And as businesses scale and grow, yes, everybody brings their level of expertise. But I love what you said about a feedback loop, because we all bring a different perspective. We all bring a different point of view. And even the idea of hearing what customers are saying. I love that, to be able to get the customer's language, because that's really important. And if we're sitting in a chair in a cushy office and we never talk to customers, we don't know what they're saying.
Exactly. One suggestion, or one thing that my marketing director did do, so we would record all of our consult calls, and he would put it through some maybe it's ChatGPT, I don't know, and he would look for keywords, like common keywords, and that our clients were using. And then he would take that and use that on the marketing side of things, because it's what our clients are saying. So why wouldn't we use the words that our clients are saying to promote more of the same, or to attract more of the same clients that we want to work with? That's one. The ones that we don't want to work with, we don't want to trust. So.
Yes. So, okay. One of the things that you said also about a framework was in the following up after a sales pitch. That when we hear people say the fortune is in the follow-up, why is follow-up so critical?
Okay, so this one is one of my favorite things, because I actually had a client double her revenue in 6 months' time by just implementing a follow-up sequence, believe it or not. So, there's a lot of stigma around selling, right? And so just to give you an example, like people think that it's pushy, demanding, overbearing, uncomfortable, yeah, no one wants to be that person, right? So really it's about changing the mindset first and foremost of, again, what you're selling and the reason that you're selling it. And I always say that by not following up with somebody, you're really offending them. Because think about it this way. This person obviously felt like at some point you could solve their problem, right? That's why they raised their hand to talk to you to begin with. They sat through your presentation, they had a conversation with you, right? And the number one reason that people do not come on board is because there is uncertainty. They are uncertain about something, right? And it can be a laundry list of things, whether or not they have confidence in that you can actually solve their problem. Maybe they don't understand a portion of the onboarding process, and so it is our job, as the CEO and founder of our companies, but it's also our job to care enough about this person to want to change their lives in a positive way, right? And so if we have this business, you better believe in your business and what you sell to the core, and you better believe that, like, by somebody not having what you have to offer, their life is worse off. And so by not following up with them, you're basically saying you're not worth my time. Right? You're saying to them, so what, I wasn't worth you sending an email or a text to? Whereas in your mind, you might be thinking, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to bother them. Right? And so it's your duty to follow up with them. And I share this, and again, I get all these kind of like shock and awes, 7 to 10 times minimum. 7 to 10 times. That's what you need.
After the proposal.
After. Yes. And so this is one of those slimy, icky feeling rubs in the sales cycle, if you will, that nobody likes. And so I have a formula that makes following up feel like you're actually adding value to people's lives, not like you're just being that, I want the sale, please buy from me. It's about me. It's never about you all. It's always about them. Always. And so it's a very important component. And like I said, my one client doubled her revenue in 6 months just by implementing, focusing on that one system of many in her sales process.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I very much resonate that with, like, I feel like I'm bothering people. Like, I will maybe follow up 1, maybe 2 times, but then after that, I'm like, okay, they weren't interested. Like, I'll just leave them alone. But I like what you said about not making it slimy by making it about them. Like, how can you help them? How can you support them, whether or not they buy? And that, I think, this is a whole mindset thing we could probably go down a rabbit hole on, but like detaching from the outcome of, like, you believe in your offer so much and you are so confident they can help people that if this person says yes or not, that's okay, because somebody else is going to say yes and you're going to be able to serve that person.
Absolutely. It's not personal, right? They didn't say no to you, right? They just said no to your offer. And I always say this, right? Like, you have a gift. Obviously, you're in business, right? You have a gift. And so all you're doing is offering somebody this gift. It's up to them whether or not they open that gift. But you have to do your due diligence and be that partner to them, that friend to them. We often talk about, like, how selling should be like having coffee with your girlfriend, caring enough about them as a person to tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, I know you shared you wanted this and this and this happen, and I know that I can help you with that. Tell me what's holding you back. I know that the number one reason that people don't come on board or don't, move forward with something is because they're uncertain or they're scared about something. How can I make you certain that this is what you need?
Yeah. And giving people an opportunity to be heard. I love that question, because we go through business as an entrepreneur that sometimes it can be really lonely. And so to even just be able to have someone who can hear you. And I think that's one thing that, like, salespeople get a bad rap of, like, talking too much. And good salespeople listen, right?
Keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Zip it and listen.
That's so hard though, because you're right. Word vomiting is a thing. And I think it's just a natural tendency that when people, schedule time with you, you think, well, they want to hear how I can help them. And so I'm just going to tell them how I can help them. But you start talking and you don't even really know what their problem is. You might assume, so many people are like, well, they went to my website and they filled out my form. My website says everything they need to know. They need a website. That's what I do. They filled out the form. They need a website. Well, if you dig in, they might not just need a website. They might need branding and copywriting and the whole shebang, So there's a lot to said of listening.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of times when business owners get into the point where, like you said, they maybe they really need that quick fix. They need that sale, or they feel like they need that sale. And we lean into, I'm just going to run a sale. I'm going to discount. Tell me why that is not a strategy that we should be leaning on.
Okay, this one, discounting is a bad word over here in the Grit and Tenacity lands. I gotta tell you, we do not discount. We offer savings. We do not discount. Okay. Oh my gosh, I could go on for a really long time about this. So discounting really says more of what you don't want it to say than what you're really trying to accomplish. So it tells people that you're cheap. It tells people that you don't value yourself. It tells people that you're on sale. You're on sale. And, I'm not on sale. I'm never on sale. Are you kidding? I'm not standing on the street corner. Oh, this is not what we are doing in this world, right? And that's not what you should be doing either. So discounting is just something that I avoid at all costs because of what it really says. It also conditions, just depending on what you're selling, your services or product, it conditions your buyers to wait until you put something on sale. And then that's when you have these, highs and lows of things, right? And you're not making the same profit margins because you put something on sale. And then it just really is that much harder for you to work and regain your value to them, right? Because they've purchased you on sale. And let's be honest, if they didn't purchase you at full price, but they purchased you on sale, they didn't really value you to begin with. And those are the people that you don't want to be working with. You want to work with people that see your value for what it is.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Coming from the retail world, the promotional calendar, the promotional cycle, we see it all the time. And it's so easy to want to fall into that trap, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then we saw, I think about Gap, never ever pay full price at Gap because they're going to have a sale. It's going to go on sale. Same thing with Express, same thing with Old Navy, Loft, so many of these retailers. And then what has happened over the long term is they can only drive volume when it's on sale. So what has happened over the years, then guess what? Their quality starts to diminish because they're having to cut corners to make those profits. And it's like this awful cycle. And then you see brands like Bed Bath & Beyond that, oh, hey, they went out of business because nobody ever paid full price, because it was always use a coupon, get it when it's on sale. And as a service-based business, if you discount and cut corners, you're doing something that's not integrity to you.
Right.
And now it doesn't feel aligned, and you're going to start to feel resentful. And it's just a really bad cycle to get into. But I know that it's tempting because we do see those revenue spikes when we run a sale.
So I know that we are recording in March, but this is going to air in May. I will tell you, so we're getting ready to approach summer season. I'm already starting to talk about it in my business. So the summer and the holidays are the 2 times a year when people start to knee-jerk react and put things on sale and discount. And it's because summertime, people's schedules get crazy. They're not as predictable. They don't have as much time to meet. They're going on vacation. Kids are out of school, right? The holidays, same thing. They're overwhelmed. The Christmas parties, all these other obligations and stuff. And so things slow down from a time objection, right? They don't have time to really put into that. And so what happens is you go, oh my gosh, I need a spike in revenue. I'm going to encourage them to buy now. So rather than addressing their time objection upfront and head on, right, and helping them see that by delaying, it's only going to delay their success and their outcome, right? You go to the quick and easy, and that's when we put it on sale. And that is just the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah. So with wanting to have a sense of urgency and get that spike in revenue, what are some things that maybe we can do that
Sure.
not putting it on sale or discount?
Yeah, absolutely. So To help, you want to help people have a sense of urgency. And it all comes back to, I'll just be, really transparent and upfront, is the first system that you need to have in place, which is your consult call, or a client call prep worksheet is what I say. So really and truly, you need to understand your client to the core, asking them for what's causing you to want to, invest in this or look at this. Are they a good fit? So the parameters of, are they a good fit for your business, meet those basic things. And then this is the key one, right? Energy. And I don't mean energy like, woo, I have so much energy. I mean, like, how quickly are they going to be moving forward with this? Is there something that is causing them from a timeline perspective, right, to be looking now, or are they just shopping, right? And so quite honestly, they shouldn't even get to the part where you're sharing about your business or you're talking about moving forward or not if there isn't energy that is, within a couple weeks or a month, what your project's timelines and cycles, right?
Mhm.
So that's the first and foremost thing. If you don't have that in place, you need to get that. The other things that you can certainly do is help paint the vision. So when you're talking to them about coming aboard, and in your follow-up of things, really help them see what it's going to be like working with you. And then at the end, how is their life going to be better? How are you going to help them save time, grow revenue, right? What's the third one? Save time, grow revenue, cut costs, and maybe even like reduce the risk, right? Like, how is what you're doing going to give them that outcome? It always comes down to those key things. And then, ask them things like, so let's say it's a website, right? And they're saying not right now. Well, all right. It takes 6 weeks to build a website. Today is March 12th. 6 weeks from now is, and then you go to your calendar, and you look and you say, so, your website could be live in 6 weeks, which is, I don't even know, like May 1st, let's just say, right? But if we start at May 1st, your website now isn't going to be live to the middle of summer. And guess what? Summer is the slow time. You want to get your website live so people can start seeing it and getting to know you before we go into the summer slump, because that summer slump is already tough as is. You don't want it to be any tougher. So for me, like, it's having that kind of hard conversation with them. The other things that you can do, again, if it's around Christmas or holidays, I always like to use taxes because, hey, it's a tax write-off. Marketing and those kinds of things are tax write-offs, investments in your business. Like, if you have to spend money in your business, it's a tax write-off. Don't wait. And then, the other things here is, again, like I said, don't be afraid to call out the obvious. And it goes back to your consult call that you had with them, and you're really digging in and they're sharing with you the why behind, why they're looking to move forward with you. And you can remind them, Ruthie, you told me, and I'm saying this with just nothing but grace and the care for you. You told me that it was really important that we got your website up, because if we didn't get your website up, then you might go out of business. And if you go out of business, you told me that you won't be able to pay for your child's childcare anymore. And so why are we waiting? All right. This is going to help you get to that. And it's okay, because you've built that relationship on the front end to, come from a place of love. And the cardinal rule in all of this is always, always, always come from a place of help and tie your reasoning back to their why. That helps create the sense of urgency.
Yeah. And I think, we talk a lot about values-based businesses and understanding your own values and mission and vision. And when you are talking with other business owners, or you're selling to another business owner, relating on that values level of like, this is important to you. I get it. That's important to me too. And let's talk about it. And I see you and I hear you. And it's not, because I know that sometimes that like pain point marketing gets a bad rap, and it feels like, oh, I don't want to play to people's pain, but like, no, I want to help you. I want to solve this thing for you. And that's what I'm here for. And understanding that, and to your point, listening and having that language to be able to reflect back helps them feel heard and seen, and then more likely to make the decision if the time's right.
Absolutely. When someone is like, man, this person knows me, man, they've got my, they understand me, already there's that instant connectivity.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, this was really, really helpful. I think there's so much to think about when it comes to our sales and marketing. And I appreciate you digging in on some of these steps in the sales cycle. And before we wrap up, I want to ask a couple questions just to get to know you a little bit better. And as we were just talking about values, I would love to know, what is one of your brand values and how did you land on that? And how does it show up in your business?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking that too. So, one of my brand values is authenticity and confidence. That came about, quite honestly, because I had a really good friend that I used to work with in corporate who reached out to me many years after she had left and said, listen, I'd gotten as far as I could get with selling. I'm not trained and I need you to help me take it to the next level. And she said, I could hire 1 million sales coaches. There are 1 million sales coaches out there. She's like, but you're the only one that I trust to be authentic and to show me how to be confident. Like, I don't want a 7-step plan on how to, attack Instagram DMs. Like, that's not a sales strategy. She really wanted to learn to the core. And so as I was starting this business, and I was asking, so I know I'm good at sales, but like, what do I do? I mean, and she goes, well, you help people women, sell confidently. And I'm like, okay, I can wrap my head around that. So authenticity and being confident is definitely one of my brands.
Yeah. And I think that comes from the fact that, you said it's not just about the Instagram DM. It's about the whole cycle and understanding all the steps of the cycle. And when you understand that and, you can leverage those steps, then you can be confident because it's not just one thing. It's not just that one little quick fix, right?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes.
Wow. We talk so much here also about personal development and a growth mindset, as personal development and growing and learning is one of my brand values. So I always love to ask our guests, what is a favorite personal and professional development book or podcast that you would recommend?
Yes, I love personal development too, which is also, again, what feeds my soul. My love language is quality time. And so this is just, it's a growth opportunity and I get to really be in the space of big thinking, smart, incredible women such as yourself. And so even this moment right here is a growth opportunity. And I'm so grateful for it. Well, quite honestly, your podcast is just straight being honest, has inspired me and moved me. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on here, but has inspired and moved me to the core. I think you know that one of your most recent podcasts led my husband to even us having a moment and understanding about women and running businesses and stuff. So that's huge. And then my favorite book is More Sales, Bigger Impact by David Booney. And so he just really talks about becoming a change agent, not a salesperson. And that's been truly impactful for me.
Yeah, I love that. Well, then our last question, because we love to talk about being consistent, but reminder for everyone, consistent does not have to mean constant. But I'd love to know something that you're really consistent with, either in your business or your personal life, that you're really proud of.
Yeah. So my whole family is early risers. And I guess I learned this from my dad. I don't know. He's still at 77 years old, shows up every day to his job and gets up. He has his own company, but gets up at 4 a.m. in the morning. And he does it because it's like where he gets his quiet time and his creativity time. And so a couple things. One, I get dressed every single day. And when I say get dressed, I mean, like, if you don't see earrings and like my lashes on, yeah, I got lashes, ladies, then there's a problem and you should probably check in to see if I'm okay. And the reason for that is because I watched my grandmother do it every single day. And she would get dressed in her Alfred dinner and sit and see nobody but the TV. But she looked on point. She had her jewelry on. And I always admired that. And I asked her and she goes, it's my mindset. If I just dressed sloppy every day, like she probably would have gone before her time, right? Like it's a mindset thing. So that's one thing I'm really proud of. And then the second thing is I get up every morning around 5:15, 5 o'clock. I have my coffee. Nobody talk to me before I have my coffee. That's a rule in my house. And I try to journal or read a book, at least a chapter in a book a day. And then that's my creativity time. That's where I'm at my best.
Yeah. And you're really consistent with that. I love that.
I am.
Awesome. Well, Gwen, this was such a great conversation. If listeners are interested in connecting with you, learning more, where do you hang out online and where can they reach out?
Well, thanks to Ruthie. It's not on Instagram because of my 9 grid. Thank you so much. That has been so transformational for me in my business. So But I do check the DMs there, but I'm not in there. I try to put up a few stories. So, if you want to hang out with me in some stories, by all means, I welcome you. But really on my website, gritandtenacityconsulting.com, or in my emails, Grit and Tenacity Consulting is where you can find me.
Yeah. And listen to the podcast.
Yes.
Gwen's got a great podcast that shares really like that authentic behind the scenes and sales tips. I love that.
Yes, thank you. Yep, the GT podcast is getting a little bit of a makeover where it's we're selling confidently is easy, and it's for bigger impact. So
yes, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again so much for being here. This was a great conversation.
Oh my gosh, Ruthie, thank you so much. Genuinely, truly.